In the 10th chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians is a verse that we use a lot of times when we talk about temptation, and it's verse 13 where it says, "No temptation has overtaken you, but such as is common to man, and God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond that which you are able, but with the temptation will provide the way of escape so that you will be able to endure it." And in this passage, if you look in the verses prior to it, God is pointing out the rebellion of the people of Israel in the wilderness, and how even though God had provided for them, had protected them, they still sinned and turned away from him. And so in verse 12 it says, "Therefore let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall." And then comes that verse about no temptation has overtaken you. And I think a lot of times when we think about that verse, we think about it in terms of what we think of as the big sins. Things like sexual sins, different types of immorality. And we think, yes, God has provided a way of escape for that. But I think we need to think about sin as sin. The one that God points to the most there is actually pride. Let him who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. And so when we look at our lives and we examine them in light of God's word, we're to look at the things that were written before, the things that happened to the people who came before, as examples for us. Those are some of the ways out that God has provided by us being able to learn from their examples. But it's not just in the big things, it's in those little things that we allow to creep into our lives every day. Things like pride, things like bitterness, things like unkindness, things like the way that we use our words. And so as we go through today, let's think about the things that come up where we are tempted to act or speak in a way that is displeasing to the Lord. And then let's look for the way out, because God has provided it. And let's remember that it is when we think we're doing okay, when we think we're standing, that we are most in jeopardy of falling. And so we can't become too self-satisfied in our spiritual life. As we looked at this weekend in church, we are to continue to hunger and thirst for righteousness. And in that pursuit of righteousness, we will find the way out when we are tempted to do things that are displeasing to God.